Welcome my friends, welcome back to Project TAS. If you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by. If you've watched any of my previous videos, thank you for returning to my channel. Today we're doing another Blake 7 review. This time it's the entirety of Season 3 before we move on to the first episode of Season 4. As always, I will point out that this review will inevitably touch upon certain plot elements of the series and may even reveal developments for the series of Blake 7 as a whole. So if you haven't seen any of the episodes of Season 3 or anything else in terms of Blake 7, a huge spoiler alert is in order in case you wish to do a bit of Blake 7 catch-up prior to watching this review. You have been warned. Right, let's get to it, shall we? Season 3. Arguably the most popular of all the Blake 7 seasons as far as the Blake 7 fans are concerned. Season 1 from me attained a total of 19 stars. Season 2 again attained somehow a total of 19 stars. Season 3, the grand total completely different from the other two seasons of 19 stars. Again! It's a conspiracy, people. Although my preferred episodes and disliked episodes do differ from the opinion of the masses, and completely agree with in others, especially some of the more woeful offerings, people may have found the number of stars awarded to the likes of Aftermath and Power Play and City at the Edge of the World rather low when compared to how popular those episodes are, while the praise I've given to Dawn of the Gods and the perfect 4 stars out of 4 to Sarcophagus too generous. I still wonder if I'm being too generous to Rumours of Death, and I know of very few people who don't love that episode. Whatever your feelings about any of these individual episodes or your feelings about the series as a whole, please let me know in the comments below. Season 3 is an intriguing one. We've lost Blake and by extension we've lost interest in the campaign against the Federation. Volcano talks about establishing a base for the crew, but it never goes on to say that they will strike at the Federation from it. Harvest of Kairos is about the theft of Chiropan from a Federation harvest, although this is more to do with the crew's greed rather than being an irritant to the Federation. They stumble across Federation plots and schemes in Children of Aaron and Deathwatch, rather than deliberately seek them out, and Avon finding Blake in Terminal was again more to do with greed and comrade loyalty than it was about stoking the fire in their fight against the Federation. Only Moloch touches upon the crew wanting to keep abreast of Servalan's activities and Federation going-ons, and Avon sums up this plot point quite astutely.
And why did you come here?
I wish I knew.
Sums up a lot about the episode, in fairness, which I think I've mentioned before in my Moloch review. The other episodes, the crew are not interested in the Federation, in spite of the fact that Servalan appears in 9 of the 13 episodes, including episodes like Aftermath, and even Power Play. Yes, this one has Servalan butting heads with Callie and Villa, and even has Federation guards all over the Liberator. But I don't hear anyone saying they want to take on the Federation, that it must be crushed, etc., etc. The primary goal for the crew in this season would appear to be themselves, either the acquisition of wealth, keeping the Liberator running smoothly, missions of mercy, missions of revenge, and oddly enough, scientific curiosity. So is this really what Blake 7 is meant to be all about? Well, in a sense it is. The crew's perspective may have been silently altered, but the Federation's remain the same. Capture the Liberator and the crew. Even though Servalan herself openly states that the crew aren't the threat they used to be, once Servalan is properly established as the Federation president, she does not stop in trying to capture the most powerful ship in existence. Even other plans manage to segue in capturing the Liberator, in some bizarre way. So regardless of their new sensibilities, the crew find themselves constantly evading the Federation as they ever did. In fact, if I've done my maths right, they destroy more Federation pursuit ships in Season 3 than they ever did with Seasons 1, 2 and 4 combined. Our new characters, Dana and Tarrant, are introduced just as succinctly as Blake and the rest of the Liberator gang were first introduced in Season 1, Terry Nation taking his time in showing us these characters, the first couple of episodes covering their basic introduction, and even the third episode, Volcano, doesn't hesitate in putting them in a literal baptism of fire. A pity that episode is such tosh, but that's nothing to do with our new duo of heroes. What might have been good to see is a better passing of the torch to the new characters, from the characters they are replacing. Seeing Blake and Jenna go off, or at least explaining why they won't be coming back, or can't come back, instead of "we just never got round to picking them up." I appreciate that contractual reasons with the BBC prevented this, but I don't care about that. I'm a fan. I want good stories and interesting passings of the torch when it happens. As it is, all we can look back on is Blake's statement of trust to Avon at the end of Season 2, while Jenna got nothing. I think Tarrant was initially seen as a potential new leader. I might be wrong there, but I wonder if this is why he was very much portrayed as the leader in Harvest of Kairos, and also why he seems to keep on bullying everyone, and also the reason why he keeps on giving orders to his new crew in spite of the fact he's only been there for like 10 minutes or so. Needless to say, it makes so much more sense and works infinitely better having Avon as the leader, but they obviously tried to have that same animosity that Blake and Avon had, with Tarrant taking Blake's part in that Cold War. I wouldn't say it didn't work, it just wasn't as good. Blake was someone keeping Avon under control, and to a degree Avon was doing that to Blake. With Tarrant, it's more like a petulant bully boy teenager challenging someone he doesn't want to be subservient to. It isn't really a challenge to be taken seriously, which is why Avon doesn't find it as difficult to defuse Tarrant, which is probably why Tarrant ultimately gradually starts to treat Avon as the man in charge.
Zen? Yes?
Why not?
Talking of Avon, he's still the cold-hearted brute he always has been, which is good as it's different from the type of leader Blake was. Obviously it would make very little sense if Avon changed too much, but his type of leadership and the things he wants to do fit the season insofar as they're not going after the Federation, which Avon always objected to when Blake was in charge. But his loyalty is always an unknown. He's prepared to abandon his crew in a hopeless situation, like falling into a black hole, but goes through the grinder on the off chance he can find and help Blake. Try to tell me it was only about becoming rich and invincible and not about getting Blake back on board, I wouldn't believe you. Of course, the main plot point of the season regarding Avon is his mission of revenge in Rumours of Death. Might have been interesting if this had been spread over a few episodes. It is of course hinted at in the episode before, but for all intents and purposes it is suddenly dumped in our lap, and I would think doing this mission of revenge would have occurred to Avon very quickly once it was confirmed that Blake was out of the picture. I don't know if the outcome of Rumours of Death changed Avon too much for the remainder of Season 3, but some have pointed to this being the reason he seems so unhinged and eccentric in Season 4. Another character who finally gets his own episode is Villa, but again, I don't know if City at the Edge of the World had that much of an adverse effect on him. He was prepared to leave the Liberator crew and go with Kerrol and Nall, and then he said that he couldn't, and after he didn't, he never spoke of it again. It may have ignited a need to find his own path away from the Liberator, as he seems very enthusiastic to hang out with Doran in Moloch, but again, the fact this doesn't happen doesn't appear to have any lasting effect. Arguably his best episode, outside of City on the Edge of the World, is the Series 3 finale, Terminal. I have seldom seen such dynamic leadership from Villa, and given the situation he's in charge of, I don't think anyone else could have done any better. That said, he is still very much the same Villa we knew at the beginning of Season 3 by the time we come to the end of it, but he's still Villa, and we still love him. The character of Dana, who it's never made a secret and is made very obvious that she will be joining the crew, slides into the crew roster very easily. I thought it would be an interesting premise for Dana to be a little bit more obsessed, or at least, let's say, motivated, going after Servalan for more personal reasons. I stated previously that the crew's battle with Servalan would be a lot more personal, but I felt this trend would be Dana-led. I wanted it to be Dana-led, given Servalan killed her father. I thought it would be appropriate to have it be Dana-led. But other than the scene in Deathwatch where Dana tries to mentally torture Servalan with the memory of her father's murder, it isn't properly raised as a story point again. This is a shame, but overall Dana comes across like she's always been with us. Someone who comes across like she doesn't belong with us, and it tears at my bleeding heart to think it, but Callie. Callie has Dawn of the Gods, Children of Aaron and Sarcophagus more or less centred on her, and yet Jan Chapel wanted to leave at the end of this series. Why? One too many teleport duties perhaps? While she plays her annoying twin in Children of Aaron and a stuck-up alien in Sarcophagus, she also spent a lot of the episodes she was in the lead in being asleep or comatose. She spent most of Ultraworld asleep, episodes like Aftermath, Harvest of Kairos, Moloch and Deathwatch. She was very much appearing only from the sidelines. Had everyone, writer, producer and actress alike, taken this character as far as they could? How Callie came across in this series was similar to how I thought Sulin came across in Series 4. There for us to see, but it's a bit like, so what? For Sulin, this was unforgivable. She was a new character. She needed to be given focus. Callie, of course, is very much part of the established team, but Dana and Tarrant taking over Jenna and Blake, it feels like Callie had to give up a bit of space as well. Again, the computers don't change all that much. The eccentric personality belonging to Aurak, while Zen remains very functional. That is until his heartfelt regret in Terminal. Everyone says that after Gan dies in Season 2, no one dies in Blake 7 until Callie dies at the very beginning of Season 4. Everyone forgets Zen's death, and it is perhaps a more real and emotional death than the off-screen demise of Callie. But for 4 episodes, Servalan isn't ever present in Season 3. She was in most of Season 2 as well, and perhaps it was for the last half of that season, starting maybe from Gambit when we were following her more than the other main characters, that she really was so much more than just a bad person. She already had her Wicked Witch personality. She was increasing in glamour and her sexual command over anyone she wanted to have control over. But she's very much a main character in Season 3, even if she misses out a few episodes. I don't know how wise it was to keep Servalan popping up everywhere the heroes went. Excellent character without question, and as I've stated, it's a much more personal deal between her and the good guys now. But she literally pops up everywhere. She didn't need to be in Power Play. She really didn't need to be in Death Watch. And if you knew Avon was walking into a trap in Terminal, I don't know how surprised you'd be to see it was Servalan waiting for him. In spite of the context of the show changing in more ways than one, Season 3 remains a fan favourite. I still don't know if I feel the same way, but what I cannot deny is the dross is significantly reduced in Season 3. Harvest of Kairos remains entertaining to a lot of people, if inanely silly, as does Moloch. Volcano is a bit of a bore, and I know that many will disagree with me praising the first half of Dawn of the Gods, but even the questionable plots in Death Watch and Ultraworld are fun to go through. I suppose it's a season that doesn't let much hold it back, and that is seen in Sarcophagus in spades. Arty-farty prophecy, bizarre going-ons, Villa doing a magic show in a rather is this guy all there kind of way, music cues randomly added in, and yet for me it all works fantastically. Also in Rumours of Death, the dealing of personal issues for Avon, literally tackled head on, no messing about, this is what he wants, this is what he's after. And even this revelation at the end is anything but straightforward. And this kind of forward thinking actually results in forward movement and helps propel the season along, to say nothing of the series as a whole. I always liked the characters of Dana and Tarrant. I know others felt the latter was either an arrogant bully or a stroppy teenager, and that's not disputed by myself. He is exactly those things. But he provides a much needed foil to Avon, and the fact that both characters, particularly Dana, get watered down in Season 4 only shows how much better they are in this season. It tries to give them the gradual introduction as the rest of the crew received in Season 1, and by and large they succeed. Very enjoyable series, and despite the downturn in quality that the series took in Season 4, I'm very glad that they didn't end it at Terminal, in spite of the high quality of that episode as well. That concludes my end of season review. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like this video, please share this video, please subscribe to my channel, and I shall see you at the beginning of Season 4. Until next time.